And good morning. It's time now for Around the County, brought to you by our friends at Joe Hill's Power Sports and Outdoor Equipment with Judge-Executive Tim Hutchins, who is not in the building with us at the moment because this was fiscal court meeting morning and things are going a little bit long. But from the Nelson Fiscal Court, we have Catherine Beavers. Good morning and welcome back.
Good morning. Thank you.
So, last Thursday or the Thursday before, time gets away from you.
Yes.
The event out at the Nelson County.
Battle of the Schools event. Yes, it went phenomenal. We were very excited how it turned out for our first year. We had over 200 guests that attended, which was wonderful. So Nelson County High School took home the trophy and Bardstown High School took home the Spirit Award. So we had a great time. Lots of students participated and good fun. We all, it was just really nice to watch all the schools interact with each other. And then, of course, we debuted our drug-free campaign commercial, which was very touching to see the students that participated in it and their peers that were really rooting them on whenever their part came on the commercial. So that was nice. Okay.
So it sounds like we have an annual event.
That's right. Bardstown has agreed to host it next year.
Okay.
So we're already looking to next year.
Like they do. Yeah.
That's right. Yes.
Great. Well, I'm glad that it went well. I saw pictures and did not unable to make it there that night. We have a schedule during the week. We try to maintain it. But anyway, and I look forward. I'd like to see that the commercial. I'd like to get a chance to take a peek at that.
Absolutely. We'll get it sent out. We're going to start debuting it on some other networks too. So
okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So they're meeting today, and we'll maybe get the judge in here, but. Boston, the FEMA, is that who is operating that center? It's operational?
Yes, that is the Disaster Recovery Center. So that is what you've heard us talk about, the DRC previously. Mm-hmm. That's the large center that we've been trying to get in the Nelson County community. So they are here and operational. They are at the Boston Community Center from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., except for on Wednesdays and on Sundays, they are 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. So they can help with a variety of things there. If you need to sign up for FEMA benefits, if you want to check the status, if you've gotten a denial and you want to appeal that, they can assist you with the appeal, which is fairly common, they've told me. So if you get a denial, go and see them. They can help you with an appeal process. They're helping with anything from housing assistance. So if you had to stay in a hotel or you had to rent a short-term rental, they can assist with refunding you for that. If you had to purchase a generator during the time that the electricity was out, they will help reimburse that money. And then, of course, just repairing your homes. They are there to make sure you're safe and sanitized is what they're saying is. So yes, they are up and operational. So if you sustained damage during the early April events, yes, absolutely stop in and see them. And
you mentioned 7 days a week.
7 days a week and holidays.
Yeah. So that's because some people just can't get there on weekdays or so forth. So I thought when I saw that, well, that's super because gives availability and access to everybody.
Absolutely, and I can't say enough good things about everybody that's come together to help with this. People are calling all times of the day and evening with questions, and we're getting them pointed in the right direction if they need, that they don't have a vehicle or something like that. I know our state representative, Candy Massaroni, she's picked a couple of them up and taken them down there. So we're making sure that if they need assistance, anything that we can do to help as, the community, we're here to help them with to make sure that they get those benefits that they need.
Well, besides Candy, are there other volunteers down there helping out?
Yes, yep. We've had a lot of different groups that from the beginning, the Red Cross, the Rotary Club, I'm not even going to attempt to name them all because there's been so many. But yeah, absolutely. We've had a lot of people down there assisting, so it's been nice.
This is Around the County. It's a regular Tuesday program here on WBRT, and it's sponsored by our friends at Joe Hill's Power Sports and Outdoor Equipment. And we'll be back after a word from them.
Gear up for a spring at Joe Hill's Power Sports and Equipment in Bardstown. We can meet all your needs. Save time with a zero-turn mower with brands such as Exmark, Kubota, Wright, Ferris, Hustler, and Steel. Starting as low as $3,799, 0% financing options are available. Don't forget Steel handheld power equipment. Starts easier, works smarter, finishes faster with America's #1 selling brand. Steel, available at Joe Hill's, powering your passion for over 70 years. Joe Hill's Power Sports and Equipment on the 245 bypass at Salem Drive.
The show continues now around the county, brought to you by, made possible by Joe Hill's. Catherine, you mentioned there's a new pavilion structure.
That's right. Yep. So in Boston, it actually has just been completed. The Boston Pavilion. So it's right next door to the Boston Fire Department. So just another place for the Boston community to gather, host events, whatever it is that they choose to do. Parking is still in the works. So that's something that we're going to be working on, is getting a better parking area for that. But we're going to put some picnic tables and things in it. And so I'll be putting that on social media over the next probably week or so. So be looking out for that. But yes, another great addition to the Boston community.
Okay. What's anything new developments at the Dean Watts Park here in town?
Any new developments? I don't think so. I think they had a punch list of some things they were working on. I believe soccer's wrapped up and baseball is in the works of wrapping up, I believe. So they did a lot of good projects there earlier this spring. So I know they painted the soccer pavilion. They put new rock down in some places. So they had a lot of big jobs up there this year, and they've worked hard on that.
Okay. I didn't look over the agenda for today's fiscal court meeting. Was there anything on it that we might be hearing about?
Yeah, so a couple of things that there's several things on it. This was a big meeting today, but a couple of things that I wanted to bring up are some road closures. So this is not necessarily Nelson County specific. It's more, it's a state project, but the Ben Irvin and Templin Avenue, that one is actually being delayed until June 9th. It was actually going to be June 1st. So that changed to June 9th. So anybody that travels that area, just be prepared. Make sure you're taking an alternate route. So June 9th, that will start. And then some other good news for the Woodlawn community, they are going to be replacing the Woodlawn Bridge. So June 23rd, that will take place. They're going to start on that. So that's a 60 to 90 day project that will be closed. It's slated for 90 days. I'm talking to Brad Spalding, the county engineer, doesn't believe it's going to take that long, but just in case, plan accordingly. That will take place at 4936 Woodlawn Road is where that road closure will start. So be prepared for that.
What kind of detour are we going to have? Or detours, plural?
I'm not sure. Stay tuned on that. We'll be posting some more information on our Facebook page with that. But yeah, that's it's coming up on us quick. It's already June, so I know
when I saw the original time frame, which just has been altered, the beginning on the Templin Ben Irvin Road, I was like, okay, it looks like they really want to get this done before school starts. And tentative date was August 1. Now we've got a week later start. Let's hope they can move it up.
Absolutely. That's a busy area in the mornings. I used to take that route, and now, when school's in session, I actually just go, straight through town instead of switching through that side road. So it's a busy area.
Yeah. And that, as you pointed out, these are state projects, and I guess the bridge is that's a state.
The Woodlawn one, that's actually going to be a county project. So yes, but that is no, I take that back. I'm sorry, that's a state project also. But yeah, just wanted to go ahead and get that out there that it is going to be closed. So a lot of people both of those are busy areas. Now that I think about it.
They can keep them closed during the summer, the off season, we'll call it, for traveling, and hopefully they can get those things done. And then, of course, as the bypass continues, there'll be a roundabout out on 245 is what I'm hearing. And
yes.
So for where that crosses 245.
They talked about that a little more during court this morning. He brought that up again. So I haven't seen what that's actually going to look like per se yet, but it definitely is in the works. So interesting to see how that's gonna play out. But as the judge talked about the last time I was on, they speak for themselves as far as safety and keeping traffic under control, and so.
we kind of, I don't say joke about them, but because when we got the first one, well, we forgot kind of the fact that we've been living with one right here, a block from where we're sitting and right around where you work. But when we got the new one out on Stephen Foster, it was like, okay, but we've been, just a couple of blocks down the street.
That's right.
We had one.
Brand new one.
We just called it the Square, even though it was far from it.
You can always tell whenever there's somebody new coming around, that's not used to driving around the courthouse. I'm sure you hear it from here. You're hearing horns honking and everything else coming around it.
Sometimes they're honking at me. That's the problem.
They did talk about another thing in court this morning. I don't have a lot of information on it, and then they've tabled it for the time being. But the ordinance about street legal specialty purpose vehicles. So I don't know if you've heard about that.
Oh yeah, off-road ATVs, side by sides, and whatever.
That's right. I think they're calling them UTVs. From my understanding, it kind of started in Harlan County, and so the state adopted an ordinance to let those UTVs drive on the roadways if they are 55 miles per hour. So we talked about that this morning in court, some concerns with speed and 55 miles per hour, maybe 35 miles per hour. And then we had some public comment about 55 is what the state is, so maybe we should allow 55. And we talked about road tires and making sure that it's safe for people. So had some good discussion on that ordinance this morning. So we're still that's still in talks with the magistrates and the judge, but definitely some good conversation.
Yeah, I can see it. I call it both ways, but it is it's a little more dangerous, and of course that's why the requirements on these are just as strenuous as they are on motor vehicles. Seat belts, roll bars. At least that's what just.
Absolutely.
I think it'll end up being.
Yeah, and that's what they, I haven't read it, in depth yet, but from my understanding is, it would have to be, street legal is not the term, but has to be street appropriate. So it would have to have the turn signals and the lights, and you'd have to have harnesses or seat belts of some sort. So the public comment actually compared it to a motorcycle, because one of the magistrates compared it, the back tire, so there's nothing between my bumper and that back tire, and that could be dangerous. And they're like, that's the same thing with the motorcycle. So, real good discussions about it, but it gives you something to think about. As somebody that has a UTV, I don't drive mine on the road, but it's interesting for people that I'm sure there are people that would be helpful to have that. I'm kind of like you. I can see it both sides.
Yeah, they go visit their neighbors, and that's what they go on, as opposed to getting in a car or walking.
Absolutely.
It's something, 20 years ago, we wouldn't have ever thought of that, or maybe a little longer than that, maybe a little shorter than that. We'd have never thought of that, but as we always talk about technology changing, I guess that would come under the area of technology, but it's basically motor vehicles.
That's exactly right. Times are changing,
and they are dangerous if not used correctly. So is a motorcycle, so is a car, anything else. If not used properly, you run a danger for yourself and for others. And I think that's what the reason that I'm assuming our court is taking a while and to really think it through and get feedback.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that they discussed this morning, or actually last meeting, because they tabled it last meeting as well, is just wanting to get some more information on it, kind of see what some other counties are going to do before we're not in any big rush to jump into a decision, and make sure we look at perspectives of multiple people and what other counties are doing, what makes the most sense, what works and what's not working, and that way we can adjust accordingly.
You work in the finance area, among other things, is your jobs there?
Yes.
And so our budgets begin July 1 for governmental entities.
That's
Has
right.
our budget been
complete?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, they passed that. So Rhonda, our treasurer, she has worked extremely hard on that the last several months, piecing that together and meeting with the different agencies to get a budget together. So very detailed. That I was very surprised when I came into this job to see how much time goes into the budget session. But she has done it a long time. She's very diligent, very thorough, and does a lot of detail whenever she does it. So they had meeting after meeting after meeting, and yes, they passed that at the last fiscal court meeting that we had. So,
and that's good, because I've seen governmental entities have to have a special called meeting on June 30th. How many days are in June? Yeah, June 30th to get the second reading and then pass the budget, because by law it's July 1. And of course, a lot of, if not most governmental entities' budgets have been impacted in different ways, good and bad, mostly good, I guess, from the ARPA, is that the American Recovery whatever Act?
Yes.
That came about out of COVID.
That's right. That was you may have heard it called the COVID money. Yes. So we have the COVID money is over. The ARPA funds are completed. We had to have those used by December the 31st of 2024. So all of that money was allocated and spent, and that's a thing of the past now. So yes, absolutely, it was very helpful with getting some major projects that we wanted to get done within the county, get those worked on. So that was good. And before I forget, I better say it, the July 1st fiscal court meeting. So that actually is not going to take place on July 1st. Usually it's the first and the third Tuesday of the month, but due to some vacations and things like that, there's a few magistrates and the judge aren't available. So that has been moved to, let me pull it up so I don't tell you wrong. That has been moved to Thursday, July 26th at 9 a.m.
So the first meeting of the month will become the last meeting of the month, is that correct?
Yes.
Will it be a daytime or nighttime meeting?
That's going to be a morning meeting.
Morning meeting.
Yes, a morning meeting, June 26th.
Okay.
So we're going to have that just a little bit early, so that way we can get some of the bills paid before the end of the month. Those have to be approved, of course, by the fiscal court, all the bills, which is something that I don't know, maybe most people aren't aware of. So all the bills have to be approved by the court, so try to get those done before the end of our fiscal year, which would be June 30th.
So June, they're going to actually pull it ahead, I was thinking.
Yeah, pulling it ahead just a few days, but technically it still will be the last meeting of the month. Yep, they're going to pull it ahead just a little bit. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So,
and we'll, I'm sure you guys will send out notifications, and we'll certainly make those notifications on the radio as we do in our newscast.
Yes.
We are here for Around the County with Catherine Beavers and not Judge-Executive Tim Hutchins. Your title again over there, and I'm sorry I didn't remember it from last.
That's okay. I'm the finance officer.
Finance officer, okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, so if you need a loan, no, I'm kidding. Different finance officer. We'll be back with more right after this message from Joe Hills, Power Sports and Outdoor Equipment.
Gear up for a spring Joe Hills Power Sports and Equipment in Bardstown. We can meet all your needs. Save time with a zero-turn mower with brands such as Exmark, Kubota, Wright, Ferris, Hustler, and Steel. Starting as low as $3,799, 0% financing options are available. Don't forget Steel handheld power equipment. Starts easier, works smarter, finishes faster with America's #1 selling brand. Steel, available at Joe Hills, powering your passion for over 70 years. Joe Hills Power Sports and Equipment on the 245 bypass at Salem Drive.
We are back, and again, we have the finance officer, Catherine Beavers, from the Nelson County government, and it looks like we got one of the magistrates coming in. Good morning.
Good morning,
so
MT.
MT Harnett is coming in, and MT, if you will take, I guess we'll call it the judge's seat.
Yeah.
Don't know whether he's going to make it or
That
not.
hot seat. He's coming. He's on his way, yes.
Okay. Well, a question came in regarding, I'll just read it out loud. And last year, May 2024, permit to build a man cave, 975 square feet. Now planning and zoning wants to come out and check my square feet. The question is, do they have the right to go inside his man cave?
That's a good question, and I'm not a planning and zoning guy at all. But yeah, I can follow up on that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
check
Well,
out the legalities. Get with me after the show. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. They can measure it from the outside.
Yes.
All right, next one, let's see. Process for signing up for Feeding America. Oh, it's a long one. We'll get to that maybe on a break and read it.
Okay. The process for Feeding America is simple. If you call the judge's office, 502-348-1800, you will reach Madison. And if your group wants to assist with Feeding America, she will get you set up on the date that happens. They do that at the fairgrounds. So she has all those dates set up. I know they try to get different groups throughout. They try to plan them a few months ahead. So if you are part of a group or just an individual that wants to assist with that, we are always looking for volunteers. So yes, please call the judge's office and get signed up.
Okay. And it was a previous question that was real lengthy from that person, but that was the one. You nailed it.
Great.
MT, welcome in. That's the first time we've had you on the radio, and we just completed the meeting. What would you say was the main item that the public would be interested in?
Well, we had several good guests. The NILCare representatives were there. We discussed the zoning ordinances and stuff, or not just ordinance, but the zoning issues there out in Woodlawn. Those two were probably the main, topics. But it was a very lengthy meeting, very long, good discussions. Very good, what I call a good meeting. I just wish it could be within that hour, but, we all push for that.
Well, sometimes discussions go a little bit longer.
They lasted a little bit longer today, for sure.
Woodlawn, the issue is regarding...
It was regarding one of the subdivisions that's out there. People were, one of the groups is wanting to put on, I guess, apartment buildings or putting in development.
Okay.
That was gone and was asked to come to the fiscal court.
Okay. So that would have to go through a couple of steps, planning and zoning, and then the fiscal court. Maybe have the right term, ratifies, or I guess approves, or... Yeah,
I guess we heard the grievance of that. Is that what that was when it went to the public hearing?
That's right, yes. Yeah. So planning and zoning had already heard it. They made a decision, and so from that point, they wanted the fiscal court to hear it to either agree or change that decision, because there were questions on both sides of whether or not they agreed with that. So the fiscal court actually got to hear it today and make a decision on whether or not to move forward with the planning and zoning's decision or to make their own decision.
And the decision was?
The decision voted 3-2 to deny.
Okay.
Yep. So.
And the person that presented it, they have the option now of going, is there a...
Judge may be able to answer that one as far as the...
They go to circuit. They can appeal it to the circuit court now. If it comes through us, and that's the next level. So that's where we're at. That's what you're talking about, the Woodlawn zoning,
yeah,
right?
Woodlawn zoning.
I just got here. I was late. Well, how you doing?
I'm fine. We're doing fine, but
yeah,
kind of hard to introduce your show when you're not here. But we Catherine and May, perfect. We've covered several things.
She's fired. I'm moving her.
It was nice to see you all again. Thanks for having me.
Okay.
Moving her out. I'm coming in. So I brought MT today, and guess you've introduced MT.
Yep.
Harney, the District 3 magistrate. So
got a lot going on in District 3. Yes.
We've got a lot of projects going on there. Go ahead.
District 3 includes the Boston all the way into the town area, but they've completed or getting ready to complete the pavilion down by the Boston Community Center, and also have the water project down at Hurricane Hills subdivision. So we've got county water going, city water piped out that way to those fellows and residents.
Yeah, I don't know how long that project's go. They've been for many years. Well, they haven't had any water at the lake, and like I say, back when I was a magistrate, and you had people that needed water, but we was very really fortunate, and I'm no since this is district, but very appreciative of the fiscal court when we came up, and I presented that plan to them about, we did street lights, and then of course water on private roads and public roads, and internet. We did a kind of a broad thing we had, because we had the ARPA money that we want to utilize, and that's how we came up with all that. And I think, because some of the residents had to do some matching also, so it's just a really good project, and it's needed to be done for a long time. And as we get these projects done that we've already approved, and there's 2 other roads, county roads I can't remember the name of them in your district, that we they'll be putting water in also that we approved back when we did this total package. I think, let's see, there may be one left in North Nelson, and I'm not sure. I know there's 2 more down in that end. But when we get all these completed, we feel like, and internet. The internet with Charter in the south end of the county, and there's some on Stillwell and a few other places that when they get all these projects completed over the next year or so, we feel like 95 to 97% of the people will either have water and internet. And there's some more what they call BEAD money coming through the state that we're looking to secure, that we can get some for these, what we call these little hot pockets that don't have anything, but feel pretty good about it overall. It's going to be good. And
now the Hurricane Hills, that had, as I think you mentioned, had some public and private money. I mean,
yeah,
some of the landowners out there.
Oh yeah, they contributed. Well, I mean, it's a fiscal court record, public record. They put up $5,000 per person. Okay. Per, not person, but meter or whatever service, and then we worked. I remember on Thanksgiving Day a year ago, 2 years ago, I guess, when I was sitting there thinking, how am I going to get this through the court and try to, everybody's got different needs and wants and desires, and we all said for years when I was a magistrate the same way that we don't want any local money going on private roads, right, because whoever put the private road in, but they pay taxes too. They pay property taxes, so it's a debatable. Everybody's got their opinions and everything. But we got it all set in and worked out. And Thanksgiving Day, I said, "How we're going to collect this money?" And I had my engineers going down. I was down there on a Sunday and talked to all these residents one afternoon, and we figured it all out. And so we ran it through their homeowners association, made it a whole lot simpler for the county. As far as the administration side and collecting the money and all that. So it worked out really good. And also since then, we proposed all this stuff, like I say, when I did about a year and a half ago maybe now. Then we had some changes in some of the zoning, and I wanted to get some of the rules changed on the subdivision regs, street regs. You've heard me say a little bit about it, and private roads. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we didn't hurt the farmers or anybody selling their land, that's basically their retirement. If they had any health issues, they have a family member that comes down with cancer or something, they need a cash flow. So you put these private roads, you got some counties don't allow private roads at all. And some of these, what I call regulators, they don't like them, but I'm a deregulator, so kind of fits in the same boat, I think, with EMT here. And so I think if there's a demand for it and the public wants it, I don't have no problem. But the biggest problem was some of these private roads, the way they've been built. We passed some of those rules way back when I was a master, but trying to get them passed, and people say, well, why didn't you do it back then? Or subdivision regulations, you go from I think 22 feet on a blacktop road down to 20. Well, how come you couldn't get it done then? I said I didn't have the votes, because it was 26 foot wide when I took office, and the city still wants it in the city area, and I get it if that's what they want, but it's like paving a football field. I mean, it takes a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So we've all agreed to that. I'll come up with a plan and show how much money we can save the county over the next 25 years, and the escrow the money on the what I call the surface and all this stuff. So, because the blacktop, we just don't get enough. Luckily, the state's helped us quite a bit. But the private road side of it, any new private roads being built, they have to have the water and the internet, and they've got to build the road up to a better standard. But we allowed them to have more lots on the private road to offset their expense. And I've studied this thing. We went, me and Brad, our county engineer, and John, we went through this thing I got a book about 4 inches thick with all the surrounding counties, and I think a lot of the other counties will adopt this program once they see how it's going to be. So it's going to be better for the community long term, for sure. But anyway, there's a lot going on. That's the reason I had MT today, because I'm trying to bring some magistrates on here from time to time. apologize for running late. We had a lot of business today on the court and got a lot of things done today. So,
MT's part of your district in the area that flooded?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Boston was devastated.
Yep.
Several homes.
And the response from volunteers and governmental entities has been how?
Oh, it's been A1. I mean, and there's just too many people to even start to thank. But, the judge's office is one, with Judge and Brad and Catherine just devoting endless and tirelessly amount of time. And it's not just with our office, the court office, but, from volunteers itself to the all the other agencies that were involved, including FEMA. They were a little late, which is advertised by them. Everybody knows if you're dealing with FEMA, it's a little on the late side, but they have shown up and done their part, also.
And that center's open, as we were talking with Catherine, 7 days a week.
Yes.
yeah, we've got that, whatever title she called her and Brad's, we got all that DS or whatever you call that. So and I've met, my frustration has been you meet and meet and meet and meet and meet. And I told them yesterday, I've got another group wants to meet. And I told them, I said, I'm tired of meeting. I want action. So that part of it becomes the FEMA side of it I'm talking about, because you had to wait for the presidential declaration and comes through, and then you had to get your individual assistant declaration. Now, we still don't have the public assistant declaration yet. I think I told you.
Describe and define what that means.
Well, individual assistant is if your house got demolished or flooded or whatever kind of damage, you can get up to $46,000 per household for repairs, maintenance, and I think it's another $46,000 for personal property, refrigerators and so on. So there's two segments of money you can get there. Now they go in and you have to have. And we had different contractors work with some of these people that don't have any contacts with somebody, replacing drywall, floors, and all that. So we've tried to help them fast track all that, and we have really, and on our end. But man, it's still, I don't care. It's still a lot of red tape. But
the public end would be
roads,
things that
county
you guys
roads,
pay for, maintenance,
pipes, ditches, blacktop. I mean, you wouldn't believe the blacktop. It just all that water damage on blacktop. The ditch is filled up, pipes filled up. So we're about, when we met, I don't know how many times we met and went out and, we had those slides, about $2.2 million. Now, will we get all that? I doubt it, but I hope we can get some of it to help us relocate some of these roads and rebuild them and had put in gabion baskets and retainer walls. I mean, to do it right, because again, what is sun shining today, but I don't think we ever forget that it probably you will have some rains again, and so it's a lot. It is a lot, but I don't know. You read all this stuff and hear it all with the FEMA and when it comes to the president and all this stuff, and they're trying to get on their end trying to get more stuff pushed down to the state level, which I think is good, really. If we can get it done where we get more anytime and get it local, you get more.
It's when they come up
quicker
with
response times.
Term of unfunded mandates. So they push it down to you, and there's an expense to it. They don't push the green stuff down to you.
Well, everybody's in the same boat. I get it on the federal government. I'm strongly think that they're spending too much money. You talking about another. Even though I'm a big Trump fan and supporter, but they talking about passing this budget with. $3 trillion deficit. I don't typically agree with that. We can't do it.
No.
And
they won't be allowed to do it, will we?
No. So they've got, I think they you talk about the Dodge or you want to talk about the cuts, you got to start somewhere. And you better start now because our next generations, it's going to be, what are we paying, about $1 trillion a year in interest right at it?
Right at it.
Just think about that. So you got to start somewhere. So I get it, what they're trying to do, but they need to cut their spending, and somebody got to start somewhere. And I'm 100% behind that. Senator Paul, whether you like him or not, he's fighting that battle right now, and I think he's correct. You can't overspend. So that affects coming down to the states, affects coming down to local communities. I had a meeting with Central Kentucky Community Action, and they provide a lot of services to a lot of people in the community. And had all the judges there and with different people at the meetings, and I said, because they're afraid and they're going to get some federal cuts. Most of their money is coming from the feds, and But I said, boys, at the end of the day, you got to realize if everybody can take just a little bit off, nationwide, just look what that would do to our federal debt. You got to start somewhere.
Yep.
Well, if we wasn't paying $1 trillion in interest a year, what would that do? My goodness, this thing is military. You can go on and on, but we got to start somewhere. So we did. We got our budget, our first reading passed. We did our health insurance today. We put just a small increase on the county employees. They haven't had an increase for 5 years. By going self-insured totally, we've saved the county about $2.5 million over 2 years, going into the third year. We still got about $700,000 in escrow. When you're self-insured, you don't know you can have some of these big claims. We passed that today, and we had with our dental and what they call it, ancillary other insurances
policies.
So we got all that passed today, and it's been we've put a tremendous amount of time in studying and working on this. So it's a lot of work.
In your new budget, employees get a raise?
We've got projected about 3%, 2.9 to 3%, which is cost of living.
Yeah.
That's what we projected. So, that's not as much as probably what some of them would want. That's what the state recommended for what the elected officials and the magistrates. That's what they gave us, 2.9. That's what we're proposing now. When I first came in as MT, we went through, we've adjusted a lot of people for 2 years, trying to get them up where they need to be. We give extra dollars and $2 in some cases. I think we got 6.4 the first year, 3.5 last year, and then we try to even up, trying to get some of the lower ones up a little more where they make a living. So I feel really good about it. Everybody needs more, always wants more. I understand it. So we've still got some. I won't say separation. We just took over dispatch last year and a half. It'll be 2 years in July, I think. Mm-hmm. And they was, I'm criticizing what they did in the past. They just needed some more revenue. The equipment, it takes. So we try to get them all up where everybody's got to make a living. That's what we're trying to do. So, but we still got to live within our means. And there's a point there that everybody's got to. Try to live within their means. So I feel really good about everything we've done in the budget. The communications, and we share that today, is trying to get some bids on some more tires. It's mainly in the southern end of the county, which is a big district for the radios and all the emergency services. We're going to rebid. I didn't like the way those two bids came in because there was some language left to our fault. So I'm going to rebid those. And then the radio, the signals coming off the tires with the police and ambulances and everybody safety-wise. And you're talking about a couple $1 million, maybe $3 million if you had it all together. But, we're going to try to budget that a little bit at a time over the next few years, and it needs to be done.
You mentioned emergency services, and a couple of things come to mind. The tragedy of last Friday, the people in that area where the tornado hit in Washington County said they didn't hear the siren, and it was said pretty much point blank, it wasn't a malfunction. There was no siren close enough to that. Kind of makes you go back and look at what we've got here, and I'm pretty sure that the Washington County people will be, and their governmental entities will be moving quickly to try to. Well, it just takes, Washington County's population's about 13,000. Ours is 48. And me and Judge Graves, we meet and talk about a lot of things, and what can you provide, and at what cost, without raising people's taxes, where it's just they get out of hand. So I called Judge Graves last week when that tornado hit, and it's those two houses like he just put the dynamite and just blew them up, and it's sad they lost one life at that day, and then some people, there's about 6 or 8 of them that was hurt, and we actually sent an ambulance over there, and some people trying to help out there for a day or two, and they but the sirens and warnings and everything, it takes a lot of money, you just so everybody's got different styles of leadership, and we were very fortunate. I forget what county we went to last year. I'm not sure.
Was it Lincoln or Logan?
Remember, we ended up getting a bunch of extra equipment and tires and things that they had received a grant and was putting in some new stuff that they had some stuff they called it maybe older, but we called it newer, and but we pulled a bunch of that off. So I mean, there's just a lot of things you can do, but the technology, there's no doubt, as you know, that the cell phones and all, and the technology outpaces everything. So you got to be real careful what you spend today, and a year later, it's not that you won't spend it, but you can't get the support, or you got the lease agreements, or you got the license agreements, so they don't make those chips that you can get in. So you got to be really, really careful what you do, or you're going to turn around and spend another $1 or $2 million in a few years. So, and that's not easy, especially with me. They call me High Tech Tim. But anyway, the Boston people, since MT's here, we got to make sure that all the people down in that area, and New Haven, and some low-lying areas across the county, but we got a lot of good movement there, and our team has done a really good job, and everybody's jumped in. So I think hopefully we'll see. You got insurance. It's very complicated. If you have insurance, if you don't have insurance at all, if you got flood insurance, and what they can provide, and they're not coming in just giving you a gift of a check like some people think. So my house is tore. I'm gonna give you $100,000, $200,000. You got to go through the process, and that's a really good thing because some people don't take advantage of the system. So there's hopefully, it's been a rough winter, a lot of snows and ice and damage with the trees, and we spent. I think it cost us about almost $100,000 more to refill that salt barn up this year. First time we've had to do that in about 2 years, and then you take all the rains right after that, and then all these extra rains we've had. It's been a rough time on all of our staff and road departments and maintenance guys. They've had to keep up with a lot of stuff, so a lot to do, and that's okay.
MT, I know that judges said call anytime, and they do. For the people of your district know that, I guess they think they can call you anytime, and they can.
Anytime, yes. And they do, anytime, yes. And just like anybody else, though, they work other shifts, so whether that's at 9 p.m. at night, taking a text or a phone call, or whether that's at 6 a.m., in the morning. So it happens a lot.
What's the most common thing you hear when that phone rings? From a constituent?
From a constituent side of things, it's usually, with garbage pickups, it's usually road conditions are the main topics, I would say. You get a few complaints, by neighbors here and there, but a lot of it is road conditions are the main thing. When and how do you plan to improve, the little roadways around our areas.
Yeah. And obviously you had a lot of detours in your district with bridge work.
Yes, had the bridge work, still getting not so much complaints, but requests, from some of the constituents in that area as well. So yeah, that's a lot of it. The roadways getting to and from where they live and where they hang out and what they go grocery shopping at, is important to them.
Well, that bridge, just real quick on that, they had one bridge out on the county line, last year, I think it was, out on the other end.
Right.
It was actually in Hardin County, but it still messed the traffic up. Then you come back to this new bridge, and what's the name of that little road? I keep forgetting.
Hughes
Ice Loop that they used, and I got a ton of calls. I mean, it was on it. So we went in there, and I had our guys going in, shoulder the roads, and I don't think they went back yet since they opened the bridge. We're going back in there and re-shoulder and clean up the ditches and seed and straw where we need it, and we're going to put some tack and stuff and chip seals the areas that need it and all that. So everybody should be happy when we get done with it. And
the hard part was Hugh Ice was right there, and our recommended detour was just right before that bridge as well. Well, the recommended detour was probably a 15-minute drive, and that Hugh Ice was literally, depending on how fast you drove, ended up being 30 seconds to a minute and a half. Mm-hmm. So it was, everybody went that way. And that's the hardest part. You've got that small little area, with a few people that live there that aren't used to that volume of traffic. Was forced to take some of that on. So
yeah, you see that anytime something happens on the Bluegrass Parkway if it's in the wrong place.
Right.
You say, there's a parade coming through downtown, and they're just trying to get from point A to point B, which would be.
Yes.
So that bridge, that road is open. But I will say, while I'm on here, is I forget the dates. I have to go back and pull it. But they can go to the Nelson County Fiscal Court's Facebook site, and there'll be a lot of other sites. The Woodlawn, what I call the old Woodlawn Road, County Road, they're going to replace that bridge. We got the state money to replace that bridge, $300,000, I think. We went to Frankfort, and that was a gift, thank goodness. But they're going to start on that. I think it's 2 weeks. They said. I can't remember
June
the dates.
19th.
So when it was?
I think it was. Yeah. They've got up to 90 days, is what was said, but they think they'll be done a little bit earlier than that.
And then the big one, that road, which is big because it affects anybody, it's huge, but it's not as much traffic. But the Templin Avenue coming by where what we always call Holt's Campground, that road will be closed about 2 or 3 weeks from now. I just got an email on that last night.
June 9th would be next week.
Next week.
Yeah, that was not June 9th, though, on that one.
Templin at Ben Irvin?
I don't think it was June 9th.
Yeah, it was supposed to have been yesterday.
Well, they moved it,
Last
though.
night, they moved it to June 9th. And they haven't.
You're accurate on that?
Well, I think I read it correctly, and they haven't. They didn't change the potential end date of August 1, which we were talking this morning. That's trying to get it done by school,
right
before school starts. So we're.
Well, that one there, because they're going to. And the company's done a really good, fast job considering the bad weather, I think, on that bypass. So then they've got to get the Templin tied into Ben Irvin Road. Then they've got where they're relocating part of Templin into that new bypass. So they've got to get all that squared up. And then there will be a cul-de-sac at the end of that road. Let everybody know that red light's coming out. Then they're going to put a roundabout at Wilson Park, 245, and the new bypass. There will be a roundabout there. So that's a big project. So that's one. It hadn't been bad so far, but we're going to have some delays in traffic and stuff coming up pretty quick. So trying to find this date on there. I got this.
We can only hope they get it done by the start of school.
Right.
Does change traffic. We are here on the Around the County with Judge-Executive Tim Hutchins, and joining us also today, Magistrate M.T. Harned. It's made possible by Joe Hill's Power Sports and Outdoor Equipment.
So the phone
We are
number
back with the Around the County with Judge-Executive Tim Hutchins and Magistrate M.T. Harned here today after meeting this morning, a little bit of a lengthy meeting, but mentioned, I believe you guys had further discussion on the legalization of UTVs, ATVs, side-by-sides, whatever you call them,
Sure.
on roadways.
Yeah, a lot of the magistrates were concerned with safety, of course, and then we were, basically discussing the legalities of the wheels, tires, that are on these ATVs. They'd have a presentation there, and there are different types. And, one of my concerns is I'm all for the safety of that and for public safety, but also I don't want to be the person who's putting regulations on saying MT can drive one on a road, but Judge Hutchins can't because he lives on a highway that might be up to the 55 miles an hour. So the state has passed the regulation, I guess, and the laws stating that this can be allowed locally up to 55 miles an hour roadways, which eliminates any parkways or interstates. Then the local municipalities and courts can take it on themselves to tweak that as needed, as if they see needed. Let's put it that way. So that's what we're discussing, and we chose to table that till the next meeting so that we could have further discussions on what's best for Nelson County.
Yeah, well, I asked the magistrates to table it, and then to send me any recommendations that everybody will have, and then we're going to try to compile it together, and then we'll have some more discussion. And I've got mixed feelings about it, but again, I know Washington County's already passed first reading. Marion County is going to pass theirs. I think I was told Spencer County's going to pass one. So mainly, I think most of the surrounding counties will do it. And but safety again is, I think everybody's concerned. So just got to be careful. They have to get inspected and seat belts and all that kind of stuff. So, but like I said, motorcycles out there with 2 wheels and you don't even have to wear a helmet.
Yeah, I mean, we went through that when the helmet law, I can't remember how many years ago it was, but when they changed the law in Kentucky that you didn't have to wear a helmet, we went through the same similar discussions. You know, safety for a person in that case, with these side-by-sides and things like that, you can have 4 people in the...
Well, like I say, it's all about people has to be responsible, and you know, just like driving your car, everybody needs to be careful and take care of themselves and their neighbors, and you know, it's just a part of it. 348-2222, 348-2222. You got any texts coming in?
Yeah, let's go to one. Why do some county roads have the white lines on the sides, but not all county roads have the white lines on the side of the road?
I don't know of any, I'm trying to think here without saying a misstatement, but there's several. I'll pick on Lenore Road. Lenore Road is a state road, comes down off of Mobley Mill and 509, and it's what I call a little bit of a somewhat narrower road. 2 cars can pass. Because you hear about people wanting to put lines in the middle or on the sides. Depends on the width of the road. And they can by law, put a white line on the side of the road. I don't particularly know of any county roads that's got the white line down the edges, but maybe there is some they've done.
I don't know.
I don't think they've done any that I know of, and there is some that has the yellow line, like Murray's Run, maybe Plum Run, that probably needs to be redone. But probably the main reason for any of this discussion is because the cost. The cost is so high. And the county, again, is very limited, and you're trying to blacktop roads. And I think at first year that we came in, we blacked out about $1.5 million worth of county roads, and the second year is like $1.3 or $4 million worth of county roads resurfacing, which is unheard of. But thank goodness with our relationship with the state and everything, we've got quite a bit of extra money. And
that sounds like a whole lot of money, but when you tell them about how far 1.3 million get,
it just
it doesn't get very far at all.
No, so it just takes so much, you know.
Does the county own a striping machine?
No, we do not. No.
So you'd have to sub that out.
We would have to sub that out. Yeah, we do own a blacktop machine, paving machine that we do some strip patch. We don't usually do what I call a whole road. It's a short road somewhere, and a lot of, strip patching and things like that. And they do a pretty good job. But not on the striping. So, I don't know if I can answer that as accurately maybe as I should have for this individual, but it's usually comes down to the money.
Question that came in actually, I think, a week ago, and they repeated it. I'm going to have to move over here. It says, I'll do this as quickly as I can. Good morning. I know you're not involved with the city of Bardstown, but I'm hoping you can provide clarification. Per local social media sites, the estimated cost of the aquatic center, $35 million, with $4 million of that already provided by private local donation. Where will the balance of $31 million come to pay for this project? Also, the paper stated that Kim Houston was the project manager. I understand that she is in charge of economic development for Nelson County. And who wrote the book? She wrote a book. But does that also does that also make her qualified to run a $35 million construction project? What are her qualifications for this position? Were any other candidates looked at? And ultimately, will Nelson County Fiscal Court provide taxpayer funds for the downtown Bardstown project? And we had on the news last week, Kim is on an interim basis back.
She's on the end. Let me just answer those questions as direct as I can. It's a city project. It's not a county project. I helped work with the mayor and their team in the library, ended up to acquire $1 million through the library side of it, and the library will have more space there to use because they basically don't have room for all their exercise, and with a lot of the elderly population and so on, that there's a lot of services the library provides that people don't realize. So I worked with the library, and they end up working, and they appropriated $1 million to help offset that, and they're going to get some space there. Second part of that, according to the mayor and everything I've talked to, is it's about a $15 million project. Because you got splash parks, pools, swimming lanes, and you got 4 gymnasiums and basketball, pickleball, and all that. Big project. What I was told, I think is what he said, they've raised almost $5 million, $4 million. Their goal is to get $5 million in private money. I think they have saved, or they're on their side, they've got like $15 to $20 million in public money that they had in reserves for this, and they'll have to bond out, I think, around $20 to $25 million. Now, the mayor will have to answer all those questions directly, but that's pretty close. I think maybe $20 million they're going to have to bond out and make payments on it over the next few years. I don't know how many years they set that up. As far as Kim, I don't know if she is a what would you call it?
They call it project manager.
Yeah, I don't know if she's a project manager. They got a project manager from that main company that they contracted with, but I don't know if I don't know the total, if that's her job title. I've heard that, but I don't really know that.
Kim's project manager was probably not just maintaining, but obtaining all the information to get to this point. And then it's going to the project manager, who will be then under the construction part of it. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what that piece of it is.
Economically, she's got all the experience in the world to pull all the tools together to get to where she's at now, to where the project's at now.
But we're working on. I've been working on with the BIDC, and then even myself. I just a lot of we have NDAs on some of this stuff. Is trying to get another economic industrial park, which we're out of room. We got one little track left out there that we've got a pretty good client looking at our existing. So I have got some land that we have got basically secured that we've got to do, and it's going to take a lot of money to develop it, buy it, and all that. So actually we're going to the state, I think it's this week, meeting with Secretary Noel and Gray and Senator Higdon. I've had a conference with him last week, actually with him again last night, and trying to get some economic money to help us build a new industrial park that, if we want to help create jobs a little at a time as the next 10, 15 years goes, that's what I think we got to be careful. But, the masters have to prove all this, and it's a big package, and I've got a couple what I call anchors, people's interested in coming in. A lot of this stuff is, it's you can't disclose it because of the privacy and all this stuff, but we are working very hard on this. I put a lot of time on this the last 8 months, and I think we've got some pretty good projects that we'll be disclosing in the future. So,
well, that wraps up Around the County, today's edition. We thank Catherine for coming in, and then welcome M.T. Harnett in, and of course, obviously, the judge. And
also the Joe Hills Power Sports. I always want to mention their name, thank them for sponsoring the show. Without them, I may not be here. So
we'll do this again next Tuesday right here on WBRT Radio.